time to install a Linxup unit on one of our trucks here, and I'm going to show you the steps that I went through. There's a couple different ways that you can do this. Essentially there's three signals that you need to supply. The black is going to chassis ground, the red is going to battery power, which is always live, or they'll call that sometimes unswitched battery power, and then the white wire, which is switched battery power or ignition power. So that's only going to be powered up when the key is in the on or accessory position. There was this harness here that can give you power and ground, but we often have other things plugged into our OBD2 port, such as our dash cameras and things like that. So I'm going to hardwire these, and really you're going to end up probably cutting in the harness to do this ignition wire anyway, and because this plug here only gives you constant power, it doesn't give you the ignition power. So if you're cutting the harness anyway, might as well just make this a hardwire solution. So this green and yellow wire, Linxup manual didn't elaborate, just said it's there for future use and not needed. So those you can either trim or just fold back and tape. So I'm going to walk you through the steps of where I'm going to get the three signals we need to get this unit working. Alright, so we're under here, under the steering column, and you'll find a big harness here right next to your OBD2 port. This was covered in heat shrink and electrical tape. It's pretty difficult to get unwrapped. Once you get unwrapped, find the wire that is white with a red stripe, or in electrical terms they sometimes call that a tracer. So it's a white wire with a red tracer, and you're going to end up cutting that, and that's going to be your ignition power or switched power. So we're going to splice into that and connect that to the white wire on the Linxup unit. Just as a good automotive electrical practice, if you're going to be doing anything with the vehicle's electrical harness, go ahead and disconnect your batteries. So you want to make sure you get a real good connection here, because this is a signal using your truck's wiring system for the ignition. So I actually used a self-sealing solder type butt splice. So as you use a heat source like a heat gun, it'll shrink the tubing onto the wires, and then there's actually solder filled in here that will solder the wires. So I recommend soldering this or using one of these kind of specialized connectors. Make sure that you have a real good connection, so you're not negatively impacting the truck's performance in terms of some sort of wiring degradation that could maybe cause the truck to shut off while it's in operation, which could be a safety issue. So make sure that this is a real good connection. It's the most critical connection we'll make today. So for this next step, we're going to go get constant power, and I've just removed the bolt that holds on the OBD2 connector. And if you turn around this backwards, pin 16, which viewed here from the back, is the upper right pin, and that's a blue wire. So we're going to strip back this casing and splice the red wire from the Linxup unit onto the blue wire. When you're identifying the wires that you need to power the system here, if you flip the connector over on the front side, there's numbers in each corner. That corner 16, that's one of the wires you need. Right now we're going to try and find the ground wire, which is number 4. So starting at pin 1, we're going to count over 4 slots, and that's this gray wire right here. So already got that cut, and we're going to make that splice to the black wire on the Linxup unit. Alright, last step is to find a place to put the unit. I've gone here and just pulled back the dash panel. It's just clipped, so grab a hold of it and give it a good pull. Seeing a lot of people put the GPS unit kind of back in this cavity here where the vent is. You just got to feed the wire back up from the floor up there. It's a little tedious, but you can get it up there, and then just shove the GPS unit up there. That way it's kind of out of the way where people won't kick it with their foot, or if somebody steals your truck, they'll have to do a little searching to try and find it. So that might be a good place for you to locate your unit. So here's another example, you know, a real A+ wiring job on this one, but this is how the truck, the integrators install the backup camera. So when you have a backup camera on maybe a hybrid or a mini, there's some other places that might be easier to get ignition power or constant power. This truck also has a buzzer here at the dash, so from there you can pick up constant battery power, and then one of these wires here that's fused was ignition power for the backup camera. So it might be easier than hacking into your OBD2 port if you happen to have backup camera. So just another option.